I think that, if I keep myself in the third person, Sarah Lyman's trying to figure out who she is. Welcome to this week's episode of Hey Homegirl. Hey Homegirls, this week we are back in Portland, Maine with the super bubbly and fun Kim Tarbox. We are flipping the script and I am in the hot seat for the interview questions. So tune in. Hey Homegirls, this week we are back with one of our most downloaded guests, Kim Tarbox from Maine. Hi Kim.
Hello. I'm feeling honored. I'm back for a second time. This is great.
Yeah, and we're going to have some fun today. We're going to turn the tables. So
I want to know about you. I was just talking before we jumped on here. I was listening to the rest of your podcast, and it was like so empowering to listen to all these other women in real estate and like in other fields too, because you had mortgage brokers and social media specialists, and it was just got me all like girl power. And I was like, you know what? Sarah does all this, bringing a little energy. Sarah, has all these wonderful people, but I want to know about Sarah. So I want to turn the table on you today.
All right, that sounds good.
Yeah, so I want to know, who is Sarah Lyman?
I think that, if I keep myself in the third person, Sarah Lyman's trying to figure out who she is. Over the course of my life, I've been lots of different things to lots of different people. And I'm kind of in this selfish era right now where I'm really taking time to be uncomfortable with myself and figure out who I am. So I've always been like, high, like driver kind of influencer. If you look at me on like, what do they call those things? A disc test. I always like am a box checker. And if you read Michelle Obama's book, she talks about how she's a box checker and how, it's really interesting to start to live in a life without boxes or, to check. So I kind of been thinking about that a lot lately. I was a broker owner for a long, long time. I've been in real estate for 24 years now. I have 4 kids, second marriage, got it right the second time. My husband's in the military, so that's always kind of interesting to juggle around.
Did you move a lot with your second marriage? No, he's like stationed in one area.
Yeah, so he's in the National Guard, but he also works as a civilian for the National Guard. So we're not active military, which is really great. We are always permanent. He does travel quite a bit for work, but we don't have to travel, which is nice.
So because you're in Western Massachusetts, and so does that where you grew up?
I grew up in way Western Massachusetts in a super small town in the Berkshires. And now we live in like North Central Massachusetts. So if you think of Keene, New Hampshire and Worcester, Massachusetts, we're right in the middle of those 2 cities.
Yeah. So you're definitely in the Western side of things. Yeah. And so you were a broker owner. What made you decide to get out of that and go on your own? And how long ago did you do that?
So I opened my brokerage in 2007, okay, right before the market crashed. So
that was good timing. That was great.
RE/MAX came to me and said, hey, you've got really great numbers. It seems like you're doing everything right. We'd love it if you opened a brokerage. And I was like, okay, sure. Why not?
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. Only ever worked for an independent, didn't know how franchises worked. I had come from a family that had always owned their own businesses, but I went to college to be a teacher. I have a degree in history and education. Like I was not business savvy. So myself and a couple partners opened this RE/MAX franchise, and the market was still really good here in Massachusetts then. But then 2009 and in 2010, the market started to shift. The mortgage crisis happened, and we opened this brokerage 2007. We thought we were really young. We thought we knew everything, thought it was going to be great. And then the mortgage crisis happened. So the end of 2009, 2010, things went really, really bad, like really bad, to the point that I was like, okay, am I paying the rent on my space that we're renting for the office? Am I paying my mortgage? Am I paying my franchise fees? And when there's financial stresses, then there's marital stresses. And my husband, my first husband, high school sweethearts, great guy, but he just decided that being a dad and being a husband really weren't for him. So he jetted, he took off, he's in Boston. I'm here with this brokerage, a couple agents, 2 little kids, like 3 and 5 years old, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And our RE/MAX franchise commitment ended in 2011. And I love RE/MAX. I think it's a great brand. I loved how they trained wanted me to be really agent focused because my previous brokerage didn't do that. But at that point in time, I just couldn't sustain another franchise contract. And so we decided to go independent. And so from 2011 until last year, 2022, we were hometown realtors and we had a really great run of things. But in 2021 was when I was first approached about being a Tom Ferry coach. And I knew at that point there were so many things going on in my life that I really needed to shift doing what I was doing. You know, I had 3 kids that just were graduating high school and going into college. I had missed a lot of those critical life moments because I was busy running a brokerage. I had 25 agents, and my priority was number 1, market share and to keep them happy.
Right.
So opportunity happened. I had looked at a lot of different models, tried to figure out where to go from there. And Lair Realty Partners, I had known Stacy for a long time because we were Remax owners together. I knew that her mindset around agent development and agent focus was very, very similar to mine, strong female-led presence. And so we decided to partner with them. And now I'm just in a manager role, not a broker owner role.
Wow. Your story, I know, I mean, you gave a very highlight, but I want to commend you because in 2011, they were dark times. And like you truly were a phoenix rising above the ashes because I mean, think about all that has changed from 2011 to now, not only in our industry, but the way practice, things are done, how people apply for a mortgage, how mortgages are, given, and so much technology.
Yeah. Crazy.
And I was with a boutique agency. We went from a big Keller Williams franchise after 6 years. And then we went boutique and on our own for 3 years. And that was hard. I mean, even when the market, we did it in like 2015, 2016, and right through 2019. But even when the market was coming up, it was still hard. You still have to have all this other stuff, this business stuff that is not necessarily belly to belly with people talking about buying and selling real estate. Systems and support and profit and, values that you're giving back. It's a lot. It is so much.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. We're not quite finished yet, but as the homegirl of your hometown, I would love to pass the mic to you so that you can share your story and some of your secrets with the homegirl community. To apply, please go to howtobeahomegirl.com in the show notes. It is a lot. And I think for me, that was the point where being a broker owner just wasn't fun anymore, was understanding that my business was probably the most profitable it was going to be for the next 5 years. Did I want to continue working at the pace that I was working at? And don't get me wrong, I love to work. Like my husband does tell me I am a workaholic because it just brings me so much joy. But it was having to try to keep up with the bigger brokerages as far as technology, as far as what was changing in our industry, as far as compliance, and knowing that for me, in my marketplace with my budget, because I wanted my agents to make as much money as possible, I couldn't keep up with them anymore. And I keep seeing this quote, I think Glenda Baker keeps putting it up on her Instagram. She quietly shut off the noise and went backward or quietly left the rat race and became quieter. And I feel like that's really where I am right now. I'm just prioritizing things differently in my life for the first time. And it's amazing.
Yeah. I was gonna say, so what does that look like now? Like you start your day, what does that look like?
Okay. I don't really know if I should be having this conversation. My coach is going to yell at me for this conversation.
We can edit it out. It's fine.
I'm really trying to figure that out. Like I honestly am a work in progress. Every single thing in my life that had system and structure before is gone. And I'm trying to rebuild it but I'm trying to rebuild it in a way that is really healthy for me. So in a perfect world, my day would start around 5 or 6 a.m. I would get in some good me time. I would spend time with my daughter before she goes to school. But the reality is right now I'm traveling a lot. I'm having opportunities that had never been there for me before. And so I don't really have quite the structure I would normally have, but I'm giving myself the grace to say that's okay.
Oh my gosh, man, does that need to be a freaking bumper sticker? Like for real. So I want to just unpack that really quickly because thank you for saying that. And we've all read the Miracle Morning, the 4-week work year or whatever. And for certain personalities, and I'll just speak for myself, I'm a little neurospicy, and like that just, do it, girl. I just can't wake up at 4 a.m., immediately roll into like, namaste for a half hour and like, journal and everything. Not that I don't do those elements throughout my day or week, but I can't have that rigorous, constrained schedule because it doesn't make me happy after a while. It does not bring me joy.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people talk about like, they just, everyone talks about how like great this, having this structure. And I'm not saying that it's not great. I'm just saying that it's not necessarily the bullet for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's okay that doesn't work for you. You have a different way of doing it, or that you're taking a time out and you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
As opposed to just reading a book and being like, okay, this says I should do this and I'm going to do it. If I'm not happy, then oh well. Because this book said I'm supposed to do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many high level achievers that have that structure in their day, and I understand why it's so popular. And there are parts of my day that are very, very structured. I think it's just giving yourself the reminder that at the end of the day, if you're doing good by yourself and the people that love you and your clients are happy and your bank account is happy, then that's really all that matters. It doesn't have to be a focus on strive all the time.
Because that leads to burnout, right? You can't be all things to all people all the time. And there's nothing, I don't believe in balance. It's you're focusing on one thing and everything else is not going to have the same attention. And that's okay, right?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. Like a secular mindset versus a balanced mindset. Like, as long as you're taking action every day, I'm going to back up to what you just said about burnout. I don't even think it's about being burnt out. For me right now, this journey, I call it my journey back to joy that I'm on, is just being able to enjoy the present moment. Like when we're always forward thinking, and I said this yesterday on a live I did on Instagram, like if we're always forward pacing, which in real estate, that's all the time, then we're missing out on these beautiful moments in our day. And we're not celebrating the achievements that we have because we're so worried about what's next.
Right.
And so for me right now, it's like breaking down all of that and just trying to be happy on today.
Right. Do you think that stems from the reality of our job is that because we're self-employed, right? And so I had a sales job before getting into real estate, and you were only as good as your last contract or your last deal, right? And I think in being in real estate, right, you have to think forward because your paycheck depends on it. You have to keep a funnel full. You have to, but to what end, right, is really the question.
At what place are you forgetting so much of the relational side of the business that we have to be focused on? You know what I mean? So it's super interesting. I also think we are like this a lot because we're women, and our moms from a very young age have taught us, like, these are the things in life you have to do to be successful. These are the people in life you have to take care of to be successful. And it's really just for me, it's like right now, just putting a little bit more of the emphasis back on what do I have to do to take care of Sarah?
Yeah. Who are you surrounding yourself with right now? Like, what types of people does Sarah need to fill her joy bucket?
I want to be the dumbest person in the rooms I go into right now.
Yes. I love that.
I just want to be around people that are happy and that are doing things that they absolutely love and that I can learn things from. My circle has gotten really, really small. I think for a long time, I had blinders on to the difference between having friends and having people that worked for you. That has kind of shifted a lot. I've really seen who my true friends are, because those are the people that'll call me and say, hey, I know you're busy, but do you want to have lunch? And then we don't talk about our transactions. We don't talk about work. We don't talk about what they need to do better in their job. Like, they genuinely just want to be my friend, I
love that. I love that. I know one of the questions you ask as a host is like, what is the one piece of advice that you were given or that you feel like other real estate agents or people in this profession should know?